Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching with me for Talk to Me Tuesday. I am back. We are back. I am happy to be back on here and able to join everyone for another Tuesday. I know that you guys have not seen me in a long time, and that is because I do like to take a little bit of a break just to make sure that, I do some self care, some self checking. I always want to change things up and do things a little bit different when I do come back. So I am happy to be back. I hope it wasn't too long. I am doing something a little bit different today because normally I like to go live on my Talk to Me Tuesday podcast page. But this time I am going live on my regular Facebook page because for those of you that have been around, you know that is how I used to do things. So I'm just going back and seeing how that is and maybe trying that. But if you do miss anything, I will have it premiering on the Talk to Me Tuesday page, the actual podcast page. And I do want you guys to join me over there. And you can follow that page. It's at Talk to Me Tuesday. You can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok. I'm over there on those as well. So thank you guys for joining me for another Talk to Me Tuesday. I do have this on live on YouTube as well. So whichever platform you like to tune into is going to be over there. And you can also listen to previous episodes of Talk to Me Tuesday all the way back from like 2018 when I very first started doing these podcasts on the Anchor app or the Anchor page. And that is anchor.fm/T2 MET, same as the hashtag up there. So you can find them and you can catch up to previous episodes. I do talk about different things. Sometimes I like to do celebrity gossip. Sometimes I like to talk about some serious things that are going on or things that are trending that I see in social media or in the news. And let's talk about it. But this time I wanted to bring something that is kind of personal to me that I have dealt with in my past, and I wanted to bring that to you guys. Just in case there's somebody else that may be dealing with it or you're currently in that situation. And it's always nice to know that you're not alone in those type of things. So today we're going to talk about, are you an angry parent? And this is definitely not a judgmental type of thing. If you know me, you know that I just like to be open and transparent because it's real stuff. Like, I have 4 kids. I became a parent at a very young age of 23. Now I know that was a young age. Back then, I didn't think it was young. People, were shocked by my age, and I always didn't understand until now. Being at my age now, I do understand I was young back then. So angry parenting in general. I do like to talk about things like that because that is what I'm dealing with, in this stage of my life. A lot of it is parenting related because I've had a lot of revelations that have been shown to me about, how I was raised and how that trickles down into how you raise your kids. So noticing a lot of stuff about me that I didn't know was there before, that I didn't know that came from generational things and stuff like that. So I definitely want to, bring those type of things on here and share those type of things so that, if it's you or if you know somebody, you're not alone and they're not alone, and you can direct them to this live and they can share how they feel and we can keep the conversation going. I always leave the comments open. So anyone, if you want to message me, you can. If you want to join in on the conversation and put a comment, I will reply. And I try to check all of those things, to make sure that I'm not missing anything. If you don't want to put your comment down below, you don't want anyone in your business or whatever, you can always send me a message. I will reply to those as well. So thank you guys again for joining me and showing so much love and support. I love all the comments and the shares and likes and things like that. And, people that reach out and say, thank you for bringing this up. I appreciate all of that. So are you an angry parent? Or the question could be, are you the angry parent? that, yeah, are you the angry parent or whatever, however you want to put it. So as I said before, I'm a mother of four. I became a mother at 23 when I had my oldest daughter, who is 12 now. And back then, when I first became a mother, you have all these ideas of how you want to be a parent. To me, I thought I was going to be the fun parent. I thought I was going to be the one that is the big kid, that will be close to my kids, cuddling and, showing love and affection and things like that. And when I became a mother, and I'm not saying like the infant stage, because I did deal with postpartum depression, and I did not know that at the time, that that's something that I was dealing with. So I had to battle that on top of, at the time, being a single mother. So I was very young and naive, and I had a child that was looking up to me for everything. And I had these huge ideas. I was not going to be, like my parents. I wanted to be different. I wanted to be fun. I wanted to be loose. I wanted to be lax in the rules, things like that. Because in my mind, I believed that I grew up with a strict parent. So I believed I was not going to do that. I was not going to be that way. I wasn't going to be the strict parent. I was going to be cool and chill and be more of the friend type of parent. But sadly, that is not what happened. I was very strict. I was short tempered. I wasn't the cuddly type of run around the house, play with you type of parent. And I did not know why. I could not understand why, my ideas of what I thought and how I thought I would be, why that wasn't happening. So there were all these things, it was a kind of a hidden thing, because I did not like people to know, of the things that I was dealing with. So it appeared as though I had it all together. It appeared on the outside as though, I was the fun parent. I was the funny one and the joking and tickling and all that stuff. That is how I appeared to be. But behind closed doors, it was yelling, it was cussing, it was whoopings, it was, all of those things. And it took me all the way until being in my 30s to realize that, I was the angry parent. Thank God for my husband being the positive, calm, chill one. He was able to provide that balance, and he was able to pick up, in those areas where I was falling short. So I had a conversation with my oldest two. I have a 12-year-old, and she was the one who was affected the most. So I'm down in the kitchen, I'm cooking, and my two oldest are making jokes about whoopings and, who experienced the whoopings the most and things like that. And I had to hear them, and I had to hear the effect that it had on them. I'm proud to say, let me pause for a second, because I am proud to say, that I am calmer now, and that I do, realize how I was and that I wanted to change. So I am calmer now. I am more patient. I am more understanding of the different things that happen, when children go through stuff. I am more understanding in that sense. So I do say that. However, that is not how I was before, and they honestly, let me know that they were fearful of me, that it affected them in a way of, like, not wanting to bring certain things to me because they knew I would blow up, being afraid of how I was going to react. So a lot of things were hidden for me, and that is something that affected me. I had to hear how they really felt about me being the one that was yelling, and the one that was, little things that they would do, I would blow up into something major. There was no understanding back then. There was no, like, passives or whatever. I held them to a very high standard of behavior wise of what I expected. And if they fell short any kind of way, I was on them. And that was because of my own falling short, of my own, like, I'm not the mother that I thought I was going to be. I thought I would be this way, and I'm actually this way. So I did learn that, a lot of the times there are some things that you don't know that will affect you, and that you don't know is, something that can bother you until you have kids. That is the joy and the, the trouble of having kids is that they reveal to you who you really are. You can have all these ideas of what you're going to do, but as soon as you have a kid, they show you who you really are. And the person that they showed me, I did not like, you know. So I made it a point to change those things. So I wanted to bring that on here because I had an idea of, a different topic that I wanted to talk about and that I wanted to bring. But after seeing how now that they're older, they can kind of tell me how I was. And, my two younger kids, they didn't experience that stuff. So it's different for them. It's a different experience for my two youngest versus my two oldest. So being able to have them be at the close, I have almost a preteen and another one going into, he'll be going into his preteen soon. Being able to have the conversation with them and being open enough to receive what they say is a blessing altogether because instead of having my guards up, it's easy to have your guards up. You're like, I don't want to hear anything negative about who I am. But having my guards down and being open to them expressing how they really felt about it, I was able to even see that there are some moments where that old me still shows up. So just being mindful of, I made a declaration that I wasn't going to be that type of person. I'm not going to be the angry parent. I'm not going to be the yelling and the screaming and things like that. And just being able to hold myself accountable to those things and to continue to do that when I see myself slipping, because we all know we're human. Nobody's perfect. So there will be moments when you slip back into it. Let's be real. Real things happen. This past week was kind of crazy for me dealing with different things that are going on in my family. So it's easy to slip back into those ways and to be short and to be angry and to, direct it towards them. The ones closest to you are who really it affects. And unfortunately, in that moment, it was my kids. So I wanted to put some examples of, what, because it's a broad way to say like angry parenting. You can put a label on that, but then it could be like, okay, well, what is angry parenting? So I have some examples of what in my getting, shutting down when they don't do something that you like, just completely shutting them out and things like that, that I would consider to be angry parenting. So if they would spill something, I'm on them. I'm yelling about the spill. If they were too loud and things like that, if I say be quiet and they're not being quiet, the next step is not me going and saying like, "Hey, mommy told you to be quiet. What's going on?" No, it's, I told you to be quiet. Why are you? All of those things. So, and it was embarrassing, like to even know that people heard me yelling at my kids, like, complete embarrassment. Because I know that if anyone who knew me back then, you knew that that's how I was. And if you called me out on it, I wouldn't admit it. If you called me out and said like, you're mean to those kids or whatever, I would shut you down all the way. My defenses, my wall was all the way up. I would not accept anyone calling me out on it because a part of me was in denial. I could not believe that I had turned into the very person I said I did not want to be. So to hear that that's how it was perceived by other people and by my kids, I was, shutting it down because I had a false perception of who I was. In my mind, I said I wanted to be this type of mother, and because I was not being that type of mother, I would not allow anyone to show me who I really was. I would not allow anyone to like say, "Hey, you're mean, being mean. Why don't you ease up a little bit?" I wouldn't allow it because then I would have to admit to myself that I was being that type of parent, that type of mother, and I couldn't accept it. Why was I being like that? After a long period of self-reflection and unfortunately, on top of trying to figure out who I am, I have kids. So I'm trying to help them figure out who they are and help them go through life on top of trying to figure out who I am and why I do the things that I do. But after a lot of self-reflection and just being honest with myself, there were some things that were triggers. as to why I was being that type of person. So some of the things that I know is like dealing with job changes. When I was going back and forth, when I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, I didn't know what type of career I wanted to do and things like that. And being unsure, it definitely took the confidence out of me being a parent. And questioning that, it set me off. So I definitely, it will be focus fire on the kids. It wouldn't be you deal with what you're going through. No, I would be taking it out on them instead of being honest with myself, like, hey, you're going through something, pull yourself back, step back for a second. I'm all in with my emotions and I'm all in with them. And they're the ones that were getting the brunt of it. They're the ones that were experiencing the yelling. They were the ones that are experiencing the blow ups and things like that. And I definitely, now being who I am now, I have apologized to them. And that is a humbling experience, is to go to your kids and to say, back then I wasn't all together. Back then, I didn't even know who I was. I was young and I was a young parent. So I made a lot of mistakes. And just to be able to, apologize to them, I think it has helped all of us tremendously. So I definitely want to put that out there. Even for those of us that are older and dealt with an angry parent, it's hard to not resent your parents, after knowing that you were affected by how they raised you, especially if you grew up in a house where there was a lot of yelling, where there was a lot of you got whoopings for every little thing. It's always a joke on social media or TikTok and things like that of kids getting hit with belts and kids getting shoes thrown at them and things like that. But if you experienced it, you can say all day that you weren't affected by it, but you were affected by it because you were a child at that time and you were trying to figure out, you don't even know why you're doing certain things and you're getting punished for it instead of someone telling you or asking you or trying to find out the root cause of certain situations. So it did affect you. And if you are doing that to your kids, it is affecting them as well. Jokes aside, and a way that we kind of try to act like it's not traumatizing is we joke about it, but it is traumatizing because during your development, this is what happened to you. So if you're not careful, you're going to do the same thing when you become a parent, and it's like a cycle. You don't know how to get out of it. So I do recommend, like, I know it could be like, I'm not apologizing to my kids, I'm the adult or whatever, but let's be honest, adults make mistakes too. And why would I hold them to a standard of when you do something wrong, you apologize, and then I myself can't apologize? So I do recommend that. And then, as well as talking to your own parent, if this is something that bothers you, talk to your parent about it. Let go of that resentment so that you're not carrying that into your parenting experience. A lot of the things I carry, even with whooping my kids, I'm like, I dealt with it, even with yelling or putting them down. You don't understand that math problem. What's wrong with you? Things like that. I justified it because I'm like, well, that's what happened to me, so deal with it. I got through it. I made it through it. You deal with it. But that's not the case. It doesn't have to be like that. You can change the way that your family and your line sees parenting and dealing with certain things. So a lot of self reflection, a lot of me looking at myself and being honest with what I saw. And I didn't like it. I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like how it affected them. They were walking on eggshells when it came to me. They didn't trust me with certain things because they didn't know how I would react. And in order for me to change the way things were and to bring it back full circle to where I can proudly say I am the mother that I wanted to be, I had to be honest with myself that things weren't right, and be honest with the fact that, okay, this is how you're behaving. What are you going to do about it? Either you're going to fix it or it's going to continue, and they're going to be adults and they're going to hate me. Like, they're not going to want to be around me, or I'm going to miss out on major life events because why would they want me involved if that's the type of person I am? So a lot of self reflection, a lot, and I'm still self reflecting. I'm still, we just recently had the conversation about how it affected them, and I've heard it before, but to hear it in as the older that they are, to hear it in words that you understand, and it's not, child talk is actually, a preteen telling you how it affected them. It can hurt. It does hurt. But then, what do you do with the hurt? Do you continue to beat yourself up, or do you say and declare to yourself and to them that it's going to be different and it's going to continue to be different? So I'm a continued work in progress when it comes to my parents, and I don't know, I don't know it all. I don't know even a little bit. This is all from just living, and I have made some major mistakes. But I also will say that I have made some major strides and some major changes. So, one thing that I feel is a sensitive type of thing is that, and I'm gonna just go ahead and say it, because it's like I don't want to hide anything or whatever, and I don't want it to be where I'm like tiptoeing around the situation, because I've seen it too much. So if you are holding resentment about the other parent, if you have resentment for the baby's mother, the baby's father, it is no way in heaven that you are not taking it out on that kid. There's no way. There's no way. I don't believe it. I don't want to hear it. If you have any type of resentment for the person that helped you create that child, you have to find a way to let it go, because it is affecting your relationship with your child. You have to find a way to let it go. If there is no medium or no ground that you can come to an agreement with the other parent, you have to do it for yourself. It's not for them. You're not letting them off the hook. You're not, letting them get away with anything. It is for you and the relationship between you and your child. You have to let the resentment go that you have against your parents and how they parented you, and against the person that you have that child with. If there's any resentment, if it's a bad relationship, you have to let it go, because it is going to affect the way that you parent that child. It's going to affect the way that you have that relationship with that child or with those children. You have to let it go. And that is not for them. It's for you, because in order for you to have the type of relationship that you want to have with your kids, where you're able to share things, where you're able to let your guards down, where you're able to hear them out and understand them and things like that, you have to not have any type of barriers up. If you have any type of wall up, it's going to cause distance, and then distance creates tension. Tension creates anger. You start being angry at certain things. You don't know how to communicate with them because you have this wall up. You're not letting them in. It's going to cause friction, and it's going to mess things up. And I'm saying it to you because I had to say it to myself. I had to let go of how I was parented. I had to let go of things that my mother did, things that my dad did. I had to let that go. I had to also forgive them, because to look at your parents and be upset for the way they raised you is to not see them as humans. We always hold our parents at these high standards as mother and father, and what we expect mother and father to do, instead of seeing them as, maybe at the time they were that 23-year-old, maybe at the time they were too young to understand and comprehend. Let them off the hook so that you can allow yourself to parent the way that you want to. Once I let my mother off and once I let my father off, I was able to say, okay, now what way do I want to parent my kids? What things do I want to allow? What things don't I want to allow? And to me, them being able to come to me with emotional things, because I've learned in our community we are very immature emotionally. And I say that as some of us are very immature emotionally. So I want my kids to be emotionally mature. And in order for that to happen, I have to be emotionally mature. And snapping at every little thing, yelling at them. I saw a little girl running down. It was raining today in Florida, nothing new. And there was a puddle, and the little girl ran and jumped in the puddle. And her mama went off. And I get it because you're going to school, she's all nice and clean, and now she's in a puddle and she's dirty. However, if you look at it in a sense of a child, we cannot forget that they are children and that they are young. And we have to remember to put ourselves in that mindset again so that we can see that sometimes the little innocent things that they do don't need such a harsh punishment. I always think of my kids now in a sense of like, I don't want to do anything that's going to shake up who they are meant to be. I don't want to do anything that's going to clip their wings, or have them change a behavior that doesn't need to be changed. If it needs to be disciplined, I'm on it. But it doesn't need to be to a point where they're afraid to be who they are. And that is what made me stop being the type of parent that I was, which was angry and upset and taking out my life flaws, things that, I thought would be different in my life that weren't, and putting that onto them. It's not their fault. So they definitely didn't need that pressure. They don't need that pressure. Being a kid is hard enough. I know we say being an adult is a hard thing, but don't forget how it is when you are a kid trying to figure out life and you don't have a parent that you can come to because your parent is caught up in their own emotions. So be open to criticism. If it's constructive, be open to it. If someone is telling you that the things that you are doing are not good and it's real and it's out of love, be open to it. I've had people that witnessed how I was acting and they try to bring it to me and I shut it down. Now I'm at a point where I'm like, oh, it was out of love. They were just trying to help me. So that the child phase, and when your kids are young, that goes so fast. We know it. If you're a parent, it goes very fast. So to lose years because I was caught up in a negative emotion, it hurts. And it's like you don't want to be stuck where you've lost a lot of time with your kids or something happens and you don't get that time back. You don't want to be stuck in a phase when it can be better. So look at the signs, like when your kid comes to you with certain things or when they do things you don't like, what's your first reaction? If your first reaction is blowing up, yelling, hollering, screaming, your fists are clenched or your jaw is tight or you find yourself always frustrated, that's a sign right there that you may be the angry parent. And again, it's not to, shots fired or anything like that. It's just that maybe you don't want to be that type of person anymore and you don't even realize you're doing it. And at the point of like not realizing it and then it's too late, that is the point I wouldn't want anyone to be at, is where you realize it and it's too late and you can't fix it, remedy it, or change it. So definitely for my mothers out there, make sure you're checking in on yourself. That postpartum depression is real and it can affect your relationship long term because it takes away that time, that bonding time that you have with your baby. And you need that bonding time because that dictates how your relationship will go. And if you don't get that time in, you're kind of hurrying trying to pick up the pieces of the relationship, and you can't do it if you're depressed and things like that. So for my mothers out there, I definitely say to give yourself some time to you, give yourself time to reset, renew, all those things so that you can be the best parent. And this for fathers as well. It goes for you guys too. If you're pushing all the time, don't forget to give yourself some time to recover, recoup, and all those things so that you do have space to allow those kids in and to allow them to be able to have that type of relationship with you. And once you get rest and you're energized and you have food and things like that, it's easier to step back and not react with anger when things come up. And that's not to say things won't come up. Things will absolutely come up. There will be times where your kids are going to try you. But all I'm saying is that the first response does not have to be anger all the time. So are you the angry parent? Self-reflection, ask yourself that. If you are and you are saying, you know what, maybe I am, and you don't feel like it's something you can handle on your own, don't be afraid to ask for help. Reach out, talk to somebody, get counseling if it goes that deep. But Don't beat yourself up because there's always time for change. If you realize that something is going on and you acknowledge, yes, this is going on, you do have time to change it. So make sure that you take the time out for yourself and that you are reflecting on it. If you know it and you want to change it, you have the opportunity to do that. I was an angry parent, and I'm proud to say that I am no longer the angry one, and I'm very happy about that. So please keep the conversation going. You all can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Talk to Me Tuesday. I will premiere it on Talk to Me Tuesday's page. If you have not yet followed that page, I ask for you to please come over there and follow the page. I will be posting more updates. I will be back next Tuesday with another topic for you guys. If not next Tuesday, it will be the following Tuesday. I'm thinking of maybe every other Tuesday or every Tuesday, depending on the topic that I bring to you guys. So thank you again for spending time and joining me for this Talk to Me Tuesday. And I will be back with another one. Again, if you want to watch it, you can watch it on YouTube. If you want to look at older episodes or listen to older episodes, the older ones are on my page. You can listen on the Anchor app. So I will see you guys again next Tuesday.